Coming to you from the studios at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66, it's the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
Rock and roll Chicago, rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best you're ever around.
Hey, everybody, it's Ray the Roadie.
And this is Hollywood Mike.
Where'd you fly in from now?
Still Florida.
Still Florida. Okay.
Yeah. I was staying right in the middle of Walt Disney World.
No kidding.
But I was not there to hang out at Disney World. It's just that's where the hotel was available. And I was there for
Did you see the mouse?
my day job convention. I did not, thankfully.
Oh, man.
But
cool. Did you wear the ears?
I didn't do any of that garbage.
Wow.
I didn't do any of that stuff. But I'll tell you, after the first 3 days of hanging out in my hotel, I just wanted to go hang out where adults were just hanging out because, you go into these hotels and everything's geared toward the kids.
It's true.
The first night I was there, I paid $35 for a grilled salmon. And, I had this great dinner planned, right? And they serve it to me in a box. And I was like, you know what? This is all just for kids.
It is for kids.
In 2 days, show me where adults are drinking beer and eating steak. That's where I want to go. I'm done with
you know
this.
what? We're amongst adults right now. At least we kind of hope we are.
I thought you said these guys were musicians.
Well, supposedly adult musicians, and sometimes they say that Three's Company, but
yeah.
Remember the show Three's Company?
I do remember the show
There's
Three's
that
Company.
one dude in that he was with the two chicks. His name
John Flipper.
JakTripper.
JakTripper.
That guy was one lucky dude.
Yeah.
Oh man. And tonight we've got the band, JakTripper. We've got John and Doug. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. Good. Thanks for having us.
How are you?
Thanks for coming out. Great.
Yes.
Why JakTripper? I mean, I have to know. I'm curious now.
Yes. Why?
That's an interesting. It was not after the TV character. We had started. We were in a band, John, myself, and our bass player Darren, and we left that band, started a new band. Didn't like the name, and so we decided we wanted a name of a fictitious character. I guess Pearl Jam back in the day had
Mookie Blaylock.
Yeah.
But he was a real person.
Yeah. So they wanted to name their band Mookie Blaylock, but Mookie Blaylock said no. So we thought, well, that's pretty cool. So one night around the spot, we were just rifling off names and out came JakTripper.
For no reason at all.
For no reason at all.
That's awesome.
Thought it sounded cool.
So we got rid of the C and made it one word, JakTripper.
Wow. And they played their first gig at the Regal Beagle. Can you believe I remembered that?
Yeah.
Wow, even I didn't remember that.
Mr. Furley.
Yeah,
That was going to be the other name of the band, Mr. Furley. But we
Mr. Furley.
Side project.
Yeah.
That's actually something that I hear. It's actually kind of common because I know a guy that plays in a Skinnerd tribute band, and the name of their band is Artemis Pyle.
All right. See?
I mean, that's a great name for a band.
Yeah.
Great.
There it
Be really
is.
careful about that.
I'm sure Artemis isn't happy about that.
Right. Well, you know what? Apparently he is actually pretty cool about it because he's a real laid back kind of dude. He's just whatever, go ahead.
Always seemed cool. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. So what's the style of music? I'm guessing like 80s, but I'm thinking not 80s because the name JakTripper, but
I wouldn't call it classic rock, but definitely geared more 70s, but I like to say we avoid the obvious. So we just play stuff that we constantly hear. I can't believe you guys played that. Nobody ever plays that stuff. Thank you for playing.
Give me a song. Give me an example.
Well, what do you got?
Well, in the 60s, we'll go, we do Fats Domino, Blue Monday, and then we'll do System of a Down.
Nice.
And, some Black Sabbath, and then a lot of Cheap Trick. We like to highlight Illinois bands, so we do some Enough's Enough, Cheap Trick.
Off Broadway.
Yeah, off Broadway. that's kind of something that we really try to highlight is, are the various artists from our hometowns. So, but it's really a 70s thing, a lot of 90s. We just kind of avoid the 80s. It seems to be everybody else's go-to, and we try to stay out of everybody else's way. And in doing so, we really have a good following, and people, like John said, are always amazed by the stuff we pull out. So, and it's not anyone's style for a show. It's just kind of meandering through
all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of B-sides and stuff. You're not doing mainstream stuff.
Like, for instance, for of course, Aerosmith, we picked Chip Away the Stone and Adam's Apple and, stuff that you're not going to hear Walk This Way and
big 10-inch record.
Sweet Emotion. There's other bands doing all that. So let them do it, and we'll do the other sides of the record.
Yeah. And the people back then, it was AOR. They call
exactly
oriented rock, and everybody listened to albums. So there might be one or two mainstream out on the radio. Was there some other good stuff out there?
Yeah. Plenty.
Oh, absolutely. I can recall a time I was in a band called Forget Hannah about 10 years ago. And
I think you would have forgotten about that by now.
It was hard.
I saw you guys.
But did you really?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Double door, I want to say.
Well, if it was within the last 10 years, it wasn't me, because it's been close to 10 years since I've been with that band. They're still around now, but I recall a time we were playing a place out in Lombard, and somebody kept requesting the song. They wanted us to play Wanted Dead or Alive, and they wanted us to play Jesse's Girl. They wanted to, and it was so obvious, like each song was, please play this, please play this, please play this. And it wasn't a big place. The owner of the bar is very easily able to hear the songs that people are requesting. And at the end of the night, he gave us an extra $50 and said, thank you for not playing either one of those songs. Thank you so much.
Amen.
I've heard both of those songs every single night this week.
Actually, Jesse's Girl's on the list of
They're both on the list.
Never
to
play.
Yeah. Excellent. So what's your lineup? It's not just the two of you guys, right?
Well, there's 7, anywhere from 3 to 7. John and I,
who can make it that night.
So we have Roy Silva, percussion, can play some keyboards, sings, and then Jeff Bunog plays drums. Darren Hawkinson is the bass. Andy Banathy keys. John Braun to my right. And Mike Klopler is our other guitar player.
Okay.
And then myself, Doug McBride, and that's 7, if my counting is correct.
Got them all in, yeah.
You're a guitar player as well?
I do play guitar. I'm really a failed guitar player that can carry a tune.
Okay.
So if I had it my way, I would just be a guitar player, but
he's not. He's a singer.
I am a singer.
We should start a club. Same thing. And what's your role in the band?
I always wanted to be Robert Plant, but I ended up playing guitar. So just the opposite of him wanting to, so I play guitar. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So did we hear the what's the song that, you get requests, and what's the song that people request? I'm assuming it's because you don't.
Jesse's Girl.
Yeah.
Don't Stop Believing.
Wanted Dead or Alive.
Wanted Dead or Alive. But then we torture them with anything but it's good stuff that every time, it'll be, wow, I haven't heard that. We do a lot of UFO. Chicago's a big UFO town. We have a lot of Black Crows, some Zeppelin here and there. Nick Gilder. We'll pull a lot of AM radio stuff, a lot of Stevie Wonder, kind of whatever, the old AM playlist, the good stuff off the, the playlist. So, and then good FM stuff that would be on the 8-track that,
Right. Any of those, you decided, okay, we're going to give it a shot and see if it goes over, and you expected it to fail, and now it's one of your most popular songs?
Well, we just did Boogie Man by Casey and the Sunshine Band last week. First time ever. And the place.
I don't know. I think you have to give your rock and roll card up.
I'm telling you, man.
They went nuts.
And it was funny because the dude comes up to me at the beginning of the show. He's like, hey, this is my nephew, young kid. he's like, guys, tell him how much stuff, all the different shit you guys play. And he goes, I told him you guys don't play disco. And I was like, well, stick around for a little bit because we got a little surprise for you.
Yeah.
First time we ever did it, but we just do shit like that for, I swear, right?
Yeah. It's a podcast. Hell yeah.
Okay.
So we just do stuff that we like.
He said shit. I'm going to say shit.
Yeah.
You say shit. I'll say shit too.
Shit.
I don't give a shit either way.
We just like songs that we like, that we like to play, that we grew up listening to. Yeah. Like I saw Larry Lujak out there on the wall.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And there he is right there. And we refer to him every time we do Hot Child in the City. Or,
oh, wow.
You know,
we'll
go back like that. And people are just like, nobody plays that.
Who are you?
Yeah.
In the shape of something wild. Stranger dressed in black, she's a hungry child.
Yeah, I'll admit I've played "That's the Way" by Casey and the Sunshine Band so many times.
Your card.
You know,
our version of disco is usually the Stones' "Miss You" as a disco beat, basically. So, and then we'll go into some Temptations. Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
Yep.
Followed by "Love to Love" by UFO.
Yeah.
So
wow. Yeah. So did you guys start the band?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you known each other, and how did that all come about?
What did we say? We've been together 19 years now.
Well, this band, 19 years. Prior to that, we were in a band that we can't utter the name of that band due to legal contractual obligations. But prior to that, John and I had a band, the Joe Stoner Project, and then our drummer Jeff and then Roy Silva were in another band that was breaking up. And so we had Darren, you, me, we lost our drummer and another guitar player, still looking for him. And, but it just kind of came together, and I think did our first show as JakTripper April 4th, 2004 up in Algonquin.
Wow. Where was that?
The Roadhouse, which is no longer
Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Algonquin Roadhouse.
Yeah. No,
20th anniversary.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We are getting.
Yes, we are. Yes.
Yeah. So one of these days we're going to make a record of original, an album.
So do you guys do any original?
We haven't for a while. We're working on things right now. So we're hoping in 2023 to have something out that we can, give everybody and see where it goes from that.
So you got some stuff, but you haven't played it out or anything.
We have riffs all over the place, and just the time to get everyone together and say, what do you think of this? What can you do to this?
That'd be a nice 20th anniversary thing to come out with.
It would be.
Yeah. Nice. Are you doing any rehearsal these days, or you pretty much call it gigging?
We'll rehearse if we're going to I don't think we've ever played the same set once.
Yeah.
In 19 years, it's constantly changing.
And that's usually 6 or 7 that we're swapping out, and 5 of those will be new. So
so when we're adding something new, we'll get together the week before, throw it together and see how it sounds, and just go.
Right. How's that process? Does somebody pick the songs most of the time, or does somebody say, hey, let's do this? Or
I would say I pick 95% of the songs, send them out. What do you think? They'll get the thumbs up on the phone, and then do this version. Everyone does their homework, get to rehearsal.
Right.
Go.
Yeah. It seems like, if you have a 3-piece or a 4-piece or even a 5-piece, those 4 and 5, I guess, would be the average sizes of a band. When you start getting larger than 5, you always tend to have somebody that's going to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to be the music director, because, I'm in a band of 9, and you guys can have sometimes 7. So if you've got 7 people, 9 people all saying, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, you've got to have one person to wrangle them in, I think, and say, well, out of these 12, we're going to pick these 3 because our singers
exactly
sing
what
these
happens.
3.
Right.
Yes,
I'll throw 10 out there, and 6 will come back. Let's do these,
Right.
And that's usually how it works. So, but just like that. But we're pretty cool. We I don't think we've had one argument. I mean, we do it for fun. That's the only reason to do it. We like to play, like I said, to play the songs we like. And I think we'd rather do that, play the songs we like in front of 50 people than the songs we don't like in front of 200 people.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we're committed. And I think
should be committed.
Yeah. And have been. But I think it's, when you're committed to something and you really like it, it shows, when I'm seeing bands, and no disrespect to any band, doing whatever. If you're into something, you're into it. But I know there's bands out there that are just doing, as you mentioned, the Journey or the, just the standard Bon Jovi or the 80s stuff. And if I hear another version of Zombie, ever, and so we just try to stay away from that. There's plenty of people doing it. And so we love what we do. And so when that happens, we a lot of times we'll close it with Ted Nugent's Stranglehold, and John here just tears it up. And I got the Derek going most nights, and it's a thing, and people just don't hear that. And so we just try to play what we love, and when you're committed to it, I think the results, pretty much speak for themselves.
So playing what you love, the people have been receptive to that. You got a good fan base. They like where you're going.
Yeah.
Would you agree that, if you're going to play a song that maybe somebody hasn't heard before, even it could be by a popular band. I think it's more important that at that point you have to remember that being a musician is part of being in show business. And at some point you've got to let the show part of the show business come through. If you're standing on stage and you don't look like you're having fun playing that song, then nobody in the crowd is going to have fun. Right. But people will get into a song they've never heard before, as long as they can look up there and see you
sell it.
Oh, you're absolutely having fun. Yeah. That's exactly right. You have to sell it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Committed.
Yeah. I was thinking of a time I saw a band, pretty recently, where they played the song, Lady by the Little River Band.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Great song. Great song. I love that band. Oh, yeah. And then somebody kept saying, play some Journey. And then they just blew me away, because I think I was the only one in the room that recalled that Journey recorded this song. Was it Mother, Father, Sister? I think it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen a cover band.
Nope. See, there you go.
Perform that song.
That's right up our alley.
Yep. and I think I was the only person in that room that knew that was a Journey song, because everybody kept saying, "When are you going to play Journey?"
Yeah. We just did.
We just did our Journey set.
We just did.
Yeah. And that's a long song.
Sure is.
Yeah, that's a long song.
See, but I love that stuff. That's what I love too. So
we do hours, kind of an obscure early 90s Jimmy Necco, kind of a one-hit wonder that wasn't even a mainstream hit, but we love it. King's X,
yep.
Stuff like that.
Saw Doug's bass out there.
Yeah.
Doug.
That's whose that is.
Yes. Yeah, Doug Pennant.
lefty 12 string out there.
Yeah.
He's a Joliet hometown guy.
Yes, he is. He's a Joliet boy.
For our listeners, they are referring to some of the equipment that's been donated here to the Illinois Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum. When it opens up this summer, you guys can come take a look at it.
Awesome.
Right. Look, but don't touch.
Yes, that's right. So was there a gig where it just all of a sudden clicked that said, yeah, we're doing this right. We're playing the music that we want to play, and the crowd was into it?
April 4th, 2004.
Our very first gig. Yeah, I think so.
20th anniversary of that night's coming up too.
Yes, it is. And we're kind of authentic in that, Jack, the namesake of the band, happens to be the libation of choice too for the band. So, we're a real blood and guts rock and roll band that's not afraid to go out on a limb and have some fun as well. So, we like to get everybody having a good time. And so I think we would have been a great, fun touring band. Don't know how far that would have got, but so we definitely we're not living that life, obviously, but when we're together, we are. So
Right.
We can read a room too. So
yeah,
we can tell what a crowd's into and we can change it from, I don't think we've ever followed a set list completely.
yeah, we never followed.
Once you go 3 songs in, you get a feel for what the crowd's going for. Like, let's go down to this one instead.
Exactly. We call it a suggestion list in our band. It's not the set list. You have to be able to do that. And, in my opinion, 2 things distinguish a beginning band and a band that's been around a while. It's vocal harmonies. You got to practice those, man. That puts the shine on a good band. It really does. And then you have to be able to read the room.
Oh, yeah.
If you're just up there playing everything that you love, but nobody else is into it, it's time to change gears a little bit.
Yeah. You'll lose that.
Let's play that disco song.
Yep. Let's go. Play that funky music. Ready? Go.
Yep.
You better remember Boogie Nights from the other day.
There have been numerous times we've played songs once.
Oh yeah.
We'll learn it. It'll go. Okay. Next.
Yeah. Either on our end or the crowd, if we don't get a good response or we're not feeling it, we've, like anybody, if there's a fun song out, we've done some Gorillas. Some of the new stuff. We used to be heavier, a lot of Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and things like that.
Doesn't really get them dancing.
Yeah.
Right.
People aren't out for that good time listening to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Don't get me wrong. I love those bands, but.
Right. And you can tell when a crowd is into that type of music because they're not dancing. They're just sitting there at their tables. They're in their own conversations, but you can tell if they're into it or not because, they've got smiles on their faces and they stay. But there's nothing like the energy that the crowd gives back to you if they're up and dancing all night long.
Yeah. We did a show at Nelly's
no doubt
a couple weeks ago and the crowd, we just fed off the crowd. It was great.
Right.
And you can just get that energy.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Definitely.
So what do you guys have coming up? Or how many shows you guys doing a year?
I had a whole list of what was coming.
Probably, we're probably anywhere from 50 to 75 range. Some years have been more, and some years have been less. As we get older and have things that are, going on. But by and large, I'd say, three. There'll be some stretches where we're doing a bunch and then it might get sparse, but I'll bet you 50 is probably a good number.
Right.
I think our next one's at Nelly's next month.
Yeah. The end of next month, they're closing Nelly's down.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Not only closing it down, they're
demolishing
demolishing the building. Yeah.
It's
as soon as they decide to demolish it, they started liking us.
I'm a longtime Palatinian, so I remember and frequented the old Nellies where the floor slanted to the right.
God.
So, and that's kind of more our thing. Love good sound, love a big stage, but better, I love a good vibe and so that old Nelly's had an incredible vibe at times, and new Nelly's does as well.
Right.
But, I'm not sure what all the circumstances are. Supposedly they're building a high rise and putting a pub up on top. So if we have to carry gear up like 17 floors, we're not doing it. So
was that Avalon? Was that the Avalon?
Oh yeah.
Was it the Avalon?
No, that was
the staircase.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I will get that for you.
All right.
Clean out the memory banks.
So prior to JakTripper, what were you guys doing?
Well, that's been a while.
Yeah.
It's only
I go back
been 20 years.
19. I think my first gig was 82 at Haymakers in a band called After Night.
He was 17.
I wasn't even allowed in. They didn't even want me playing. I was 16, I think. But after that, I joined a band called Wired. We moved out to LA for 6-7 years, went to Hollywood, tried that route. That didn't work. Came back, started a family, got in bands. I'd never wanted to do cover music. I was original, just like every story you've heard before.
Right.
80s playing Haymakers, Thirsty Whale, Beginnings, and just came around doing some cover stuff and Met all these guys.
Yeah. Darren and I were in a band with a couple guys. Well, I was in a band with Darren in 1980, playing around places like Chances Are and, the Whale and the Standard, and around about 86, I dropped out. I'd moved furniture, as a day job because you could do it when you wanted to. And if you were playing, you didn't have to work the next day and you weren't going to get fired. But so anyway, that kind of went on. And as I started a family and whatnot, I kind of dropped out. But Darren and I kept playing together with various people around town, but not doing shows. And so a friend of mine, Lothar, who was in a band with me in the 80s, called me one day looking for Darren's number, 98 maybe. Needed a bass player, and then said, "Hey, do you know any singers?" And I'm like, "Hey, what about me? Are you doing anything?" And well, no. So we kind of got a 4-piece going called Hoi Polloi, and paired up with John and his band, which had a couple friends of ours, Steve Moss and Tim McGovern. They were in a old band, Captive Heart, with Chuck Kowal, who was an engineer at Trax. They were actually produced by Peterix. So these guys were in that band. John was with them, and then I was in this Hoi Polloi. We played together one night at a bowling alley gig. It was a benefit, and I think Scott was his name. Whoever their singer was, there was a little friction there, and then also a little bit of friction in Hoi Polloi. So the next thing you know, we kind of got together and then formed this band, who we can't mention the name of till we settle this 22-year lawsuit.
And so it rhyme with? What does it rhyme with?
It rhymes with Jambui, Jan. That was the name of the band, Jambui.
Oh, yeah. We'll just leave it at that. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't know what it means. Don't know why.
Really don't know what any of our band names mean. So.
Yeah. And that was a solid band on the heavier side. Good band, but that broke up. And then Johnny and I just connected right away. And I forgot how that worked. I think we had to ditch a bass player and fit guitar it together. Player. Yeah, and a guitar player. And so our drummer bailed out. He didn't want to do things. And right at that time, Jeff and Roy, who'd been in and still are in a band called Exide that has been around forever, 3-piece.
I know that band, yeah.
Yep. So their member, Dan, was starting a family, kind of wanted to take it easy. So Jeff, we got him into the Joe Stoner project and did one gig, I think, down in Tinley Park at Holstein's, which was just an awesome gig. And we knew right then as a 4-piece, man, this is great. And then Jeff said, "Hey, look, I got Roy here. He's got nothing to do." And while we were thinking about it, Roy just magically appeared at the Algonquin Roadhouse on April 4th. And
you haven't been able to get rid of him.
Yeah, rest is history. He is the Encyclopedia Britannica of rock and roll.
Wow.
And you could play him something, he'll tell you, what note, what chord, and it just has an incredible ear and musical sense, plays bass, guitar, keys, drums, sings.
Right. Yeah. That, I make this comment on almost every one of these things that we do, and just listening to your talk about the people that you knew. And, then you get to the point where, some guys that, worked with Peterick and everything. And that just always constantly reminds me why I love being in the Chicagoland area.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have been to LA, I tried doing that stuff myself and going to Nashville and everything. And Nashville's great. Don't get me wrong. Nashville's fantastic.
I've never been to Nashville.
We've established that he's never been to Nashville ever.
I've been through
That's
it.
the new Hollywood, that's the new Hollywood.
Yeah. But, just being a musician in the Chicago area is fantastic because it makes people start to realize that there are so many people that actually make their living as a musician, but you've never heard of them. Okay. Just because I'm not famous and you don't hear me on the radio, doesn't mean that I'm not working. Right. I'm not a professional musician. And you can have, guys like us that are pretty much just local guys, just, having some fun. And next thing you know, you find yourself in a studio with Jim Peterick or whoever that might happen to be. Yeah. And when I tell that story to other people, in other cities, they're like, no way. How'd you do that? Well,
It's the Chicago connection.
It
man.
is. It's Chicago.
Well, this was the center of the universe in the golden era in the 60s. I mean, it was it.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
People are willing to work together up here.
Oh, for
musicians,
sure.
Other areas.
Sure.
And there's no attitude. I have to think it's because it's the, we're all Midwesterners.
Midwest
Chicago's
kids.
a big, Chicago's a big city, but we're all Midwesterners.
Yeah.
It's that heartland mentality.
Yeah, the boys sung Midwest Kids, right? Dirty Bucks. So it's just that kind of sensible, attitude where people aren't. It isn't LA and it isn't New York,
Right.
It's, and Illinois just has and Chicago, just a rich musical tradition in various styles, blues, obviously, but, we do Sam Cooke. I mean, we really do try to celebrate, Illinois and Chicago bands.
We do Holland, the boys, Sam Cooke. We try and like he said, we just love we love the Chicago sound. It has a sound, Cheap Trick and Off Broadway and the Shoes and the Hounds and all those bands from way back. They just have that.
Yeah. There's definitely a Chicago sound
for sure.
Absolutely. It's very distinct.
We love it. Yeah.
And plus the one thing that New York and Chicago share is that we both like singer-songwriters.
Mm-hmm.
They like singers in Nashville. They like songwriters in Nashville. They like singers in LA. They like songwriters, but they don't like singer-songwriters
That's
in Nashville
right.
or LA. But you can get away with that in Chicago and New York.
Yeah,
unless maybe you're Neil Young or something.
Right.
Then they'll let you slide.
I guess you have to be Canadian.
Right. But Laurel Canyon or whatever. So little bits of Bakersfield.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So we try to stay true to our roots, definitely. And then really kind of captured the things we love. Like, for instance, UFO has just always had a great Chicago, following. Yep. And so, man, we'll pull out Only You Can Rock Me and people just go nuts. And you say, hey, man, International Amphitheater right away.
They know you're talking about Strangers in the Night.
Yeah, well, we were on their live album.
Amen.
Lights Out in Chicago.
That's right. Lights Out Chicago.
Yeah.
As soon as we mention the amphitheater, we don't even have to people are right away. They know it's UFO.
Yeah.
Just by the International Amphitheater, just by the location.
Wow.
And I always wondered, why would anybody want to record anything there? The sound, the acoustics sucked.
Oh, man.
Oh, my,
terrible.
The metal.
Yeah. Terrible.
Oh, God, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Fires burning in the barrels. And,
kudos to whoever mixed that down. They did a great job.
Unbelievable.
The days before auto-tune and everything else.
Oh, God, yeah.
And what's that software that Pauly uses to pull frequencies and stuff out of?
Yeah.
They didn't have that stuff back
That was a
then.
good shit back then. You hear all the mistakes.
Yep.
Yep.
You hear the fuck ups and all the other stuff. And it was that's what makes music.
Yeah.
Depth. That was actually Bob Dylan recently said that the reason why he hasn't recorded anything in the past few years is because everything is so perfect in the studio and he can't hear his mistakes. Yeah. He's like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I want to play my out of tune, my old out of tune, worn out, need to be replaced harmonica.
Yeah.
You can have a sample, or you can have a file extension or something. But then when you sing through a good Neumann mic into like an actual strip of Neve preamp, that was pulled out of a board, and you hear that difference. That, to me anyway, the warmth, of analog is just, and more people are getting back into analog. I see this because I was looking for an old, like a Pioneer, 980 or something, and I'm looking at what they're costing, and I'm like, oh man,
yeah.
I used to have that. I don't even know what I did with it. I don't have, the over $1,000 they want for it. But I think that analog sound, and that sound of the 70s, the 60s, and the 70s, and some of the 80s. I mean, our 80s bands were, like Dio or
Queensrÿche,
Priest,
Scorpions,
all the harder edge
early
stuff.
80s.
Yeah. before it kind of started to get, the emulator was the maybe the beginning.
The
of the
80s just
end.
became about quantity. It wasn't about quality anymore. It's
Excess.
Yeah.
Right.
Cookie cutters.
A few years ago, I went on a quest to put together a vintage stereo because I got tired of having to find my phone or a laptop and plug it into some speakers and download music. I just wanted to put a CD, in the CD
receiver.
player. I didn't even want a multi-changer. I just want to play a single CD. I wanted to get a turntable in the whole bit. And I did. I ended up assembling everything. Well, when I was a teenager, I made a little money on the side. I had all this sound gear and sound equipment. And I said, how am I going to pay for all this stuff? So I went out and I bought 2 Technics 1200s turntables and I became a DJ, right? So I'm DJing private parties and weddings and, did homecoming dances for high schools and, that stuff. Make quite a bit of money doing it.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a Technics 1200 turntable because that's going to be the turntable for this stereo. Well, there happens to be one on the shelf directly behind you right over there someplace, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, when I went to go and you can buy them new today. I went to go and buy one and my first car cost less.
Oh yeah.
Back in 1986, I think I paid $300 for 2 of them. And now they're like thousands.
It's unbelievable. So
Vinyl's coming back.
And,
It is.
and I'll tell you what, they're the exact same turntable.
Change a thing.
They haven't changed a thing. And that's great about it because it's a fantastic turntable, but I'll never have one. I have 2 kids in college,
That turntable, no, that's it.
If anybody's got some old gear, man, they need it. If it's not working, get it fixed.
Yeah.
It's
worth
it. Definitely worth it.
you think of all the guitars and the old amps and things that you just didn't,
So many effect pedals. Don't know what happened to.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see them, they're like $900. Like, wait a minute. I bought it for $50.
Yeah. And young kids are starting to get back into it again because, I've got younger kids. They're both in college now, but over the course of the past few years, I've been seeing them bring their friends over to our house and the music they're listening to and they're getting into vinyl. All these little vinyl cafes are popping up all over the place now.
Awesome.
You can go and get a cup of coffee and buy a record.
There's nothing like buying an album.
Yeah.
There was nothing, just everything.
Or the all-night record shops.
The smell of the record.
You'd go see a show and then go over to the record store and start picking through the, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, and it's
the
good
date when the record was coming out. You couldn't wait for it to come out. You'd go get it. You'd open it up, the lyrics. I would read every stupid
liner
notes,
everybody.
producer, who guitar tuners, and I mean everything.
Yep.
Have we had this conversation before?
I'm sure.
this guy
He's had it numerous times.
No, we all reminisce around the table about those times.
Yeah,
the
man,
kids nowadays have no idea, what it's like to have a listening party.
Right.
Or waiting outside at the flip side.
Yeah.
So that you could get the best general admission ticket possible. And now, it's just not the same thing.
No, get in line.
Then it was,
get in line to get tickets.
Yeah. And what it costs and
back
everything.
then it was tickets are $350, $450, and $550. Oh, I can't afford the $550. We better go for the $350.
Yeah, I saw Pink Floyd at the Animals tour. I think it was $750.
Yeah. Going to a concert used to be a cheap date.
Oh yeah,
It was.
I still got almost all my stubs. I show everybody my Queen stub. $10.50. Freddie Mercury.
Poplar Creek.
All Rosemont Horizon at the time.
Yeah.
The Game Tour, $10.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And now it's astronomical.
It's
And
$900.
You don't even get a ticket.
No,
you get a barcode.
Oh, I hate
The
that.
hell do you do with the barcode?
Or you can print it out at home.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, you can print the barcode out, and then I look at it and I go, "Is this like abstract art?"
I don't know who I just saw, but I did. I had the sheet, the 8x10 with the barcode. I'm like, do I even fucking keep this thing?
Yeah,
I'm like, I got all my ticket stubs and I don't even want this.
Yeah. You got to write on it, what it was in order to put it in your scrapbook. Yeah.
Hold on, let me barcode. Oh yeah, it was King's X.
That'll tell you. Yeah.
Or you can advance purchase your concert t-shirts now in the whole bit. And you can be that guy. You can be that guy that goes to the concert wearing the t-shirt from the band that you're going to see.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You don't want to be that guy.
I try not to. Well, I shouldn't say I try not to see big shows. It's hard to get a good vantage point for a reasonable price at, like when the Stones were out, and I've seen the Stones a couple times, and back when they were, I can't say 100% that they were good.
Their
the
farewell
first
tour
time.
in 1980.
I saw them at Soldier Field, the new Soldier Field, maybe Bridges to Babylon. I can't remember the tour, but I saw them at the old Soldier Field in 77. And I can't say that was great because they might have been, affected by who knows what.
Might have been.
Yeah. But now, hey, I love the Rolling Stones. We do tons of Stones, but, I'm not going to pay $600.
Oh,
those are cheap.
Them. Yeah. And they're not at their best. So like I try to find cool shows in small places. Like just last year, I saw Marty Stewart here over at the Rialto.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. And I just saw him when he was at the Old Town School of Folk Music. And so, I try and get tickets, under $100. I saw Cheap Trick on New Year's Eve in Minnesota for $100. I was 20 feet from the stage. Santana, the same thing. And so there's still good value out there, but some of these mega tours and like I'd love to see the last version of the Dead, Dead and Company here, but man, I'm not fighting with all those people in Wrigley Field for $700 or
no, forget it.
And then you never know what you're getting. Take Foreigner, for example.
Right.
There's not a single original member in Foreigner.
You're lucky if Mick Jones shows up to play guitar.
Right.
Other than that,
it's like, how can you say you're Foreigner? Is there somebody that's been there the longest that replaced somebody?
Right.
There's nobody there.
I mentioned the Little River Band earlier today, and I just found out that there is not one single original member of that band left. And there was something going on. They were fighting over the name, and the guy who ended up winning rights to the name isn't even an original member. But there's several original members that are still alive and kicking
and collecting,
and they're off. The three of them formed their own thing, and it's their
they don't even have the name.
It's their last names. It's the name of the band is their three last names. And some guy that came along in like 2006 is the guy that's got the name Little River Band.
Right. Yeah. It's like in Styx.
That's
the
crazy.
only original member of Styx is
James.
Yeah, JY.
Tommy isn't even an original, right?
No,
and that's
everybody
it.
thinks Tommy's an original. He's not.
No.
Right.
Panazzo will come up once in a while. I think he's still kicking,
he
right? He shows
up,
up, plays bass on a couple.
Right, yeah,
but that's it.
And I will say, I follow Todd Zuckerman and love his drum cam. And man, that guy is so good and a Chicago guy. And so I love that he wound up being the drummer for the band. And they're still decent. But yeah, you're right. It's too bad they couldn't have worked it out with Dennis DeYoung or whatever.
And then you see all the fests in the summer. You're like, oh, fuck yeah, Blue Oyster Cult. All these other bands.
Who?
Like, not one, like you said, not one dude. From
I think Foghat had the guitar player from Wild Cherry, and the drummer was the only original guy. I think we played with them at Schaumburg Fest.
Bachman.
Oh, yeah. We played with Randy Bachman at a Schaumburg.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That was awesome. He had some local guys jobbing in. I think Andy's backlined everything. So all he was in a Winnebago by himself.
Yeah, right.
And showed up and these guys hadn't rehearsed or anything. So our sound check was basically sitting around watching these guys get all the intros and extras for their set.
It was their rehearsal.
And I thought, well, this is pretty cool. Who could say they sat 5 feet from Randy Bachman and just watched him jam for an hour?
Yeah, our sound
awesome.
check was their rehearsal.
Yes, it was. And it was awesome.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, we did Todd Zuckerman. We did a podcast with him a while back. Don't recall what the episode was. I don't think you were with me then.
I don't think so. No.
Awesome. Seems like a really good guy. And, a lot of people have pages and whatnot. And then a lot of fans want to comment and, because they love these, artists. And so, I've noticed that Todd takes the time to actually respond to various posts. He's responded to a post I've made, on one of his, or, a comment. And it's good that when you see somebody that's reached that level and they're still, have some humility and appreciate, how they got there.
Right.
And that's pretty cool. So
again, that's the
Midwest,
Chicago thing.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to work with Gary Loizo just a couple of years before he passed away. And it was just it was a fluke thing. I had a buddy who was a songwriter, and he's a retired Chicago public school teacher. And he wanted to record an album of all of his original music and put it out there. And all the proceeds were, he was going to donate the money to the Chicago Public School District. And I was like, okay, great. And he asked me to go down to the studio and record some vocals for him. And I go down there and I walk in and there's Gary Loiza. So I'm recording tracks with Gary Loiza. And that was just awesome. I couldn't sing for like the first half hour.
Sounded like a little girl.
And then everything changed. Everything.
Yeah, Peter Brady. Everything changed.
Yeah. That's we're all showing our age. But everything changed when I had an opinion on how I thought the melody of a certain song would go. And Gary says, he steps in between me and the writer and says, hold on, I'm real curious. I want to hear what he has to say about this. And I gave him my opinion and he's like, I agree with that. And
nice.
Gary looks at the guy and goes, let's let him do it his way. And I was like, wow. And I was like, okay.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah.
That was the last time he had you sing any of his songs.
And then he locked you out.
Actually, I've known the guy for a long time. Shout out to Ray Spar. Very good piano player.
That's cool.
So
real nice.
Man, we could do this all night. See, that's what this podcast is about. Just sit around and just talk, man.
Awesome.
Everybody gets to know a little bit more about you guys, and then you get to tell everybody where they're playing, and they'll go out and they'll see you guys just because they think you're cool guys.
Well, we are.
I don't care, not even the score. Come on. I don't care if you can take me. I don't care if you can make me just about anywhere. It's all about me too. You're all I got tonight. You're all I got tonight. You're all I got tonight. I need you tonight.
One thing about us is we're the worst promoters in the history of rock
I
and
agree.
roll.
We're terrible.
So, we don't write it down. We don't have, an electronic press kit. I'm sorry. We don't. But we do have a Facebook page. At various times we've had a website, but, it's kind of a word of mouth thing, and the places that know us and the people that know us know where to find us. And,
well, it's working. It's been going on for 19 years. So something's working.
I encourage everybody to find us out there on Facebook.
Here, I got a quick list real quick. May 27th, Nelly's. June 3rd, Roselle Fest. June 10th, Greentown on the Rocks in Waukegan. July 9th, Burger Fest in Roscoe Village. July 21st, Palatine, Twin Lakes. July 29th, Diamond Gyms.
Yeah,
East Dundee?
West Dundee. I'm in West Dundee. They're
August 12th,
rivals.
The Ore. August 18th, Station 34 with My Metal Heart. That's all I got right now.
Yeah, and we have some others in there.
Yeah,
I just had a flashback. Starbeat presents.
Yeah,
what's
right.
happening?
There it is. Got to have the wah-wah pedal, the whack, a whack, a whack.
And our drummer does that all the time.
Appearing live at Stay Outs West.
Yeah, Stay Outs West.
Wow.
He's still around too. He's got like a publicity business or something somewhere up north.
That's cool.
Steve Cochran.
Yeah, Steve Cochran.
He's still around. I mean, I think that'd be cool if he still did that now.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We played Stay Out West, but it was renamed something else when we.
The Stay Out West in Hanover Park.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same space and everything, but it's a different bar. Now, I do remember I was on top of a table singing there.
Well, that's why I don't remember.
That's a whole other can of worms, because the drunkest I've ever been in my life involved the owner of Stay Out West.
Oh, see?
okay.
All right. There it is. It all ties together.
So I grew up. So where Stay Out West was located there in Hanover Park. I grew up. There's a cornfield right across Lake Street. If you walked through that cornfield, right, you would end up at a road called Rodenberg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I lived right off Rodenberg.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That was your house?
That was my house.
We play it's an annual party. We're like on a every third year rotation there. under the flight path of the airport out there now, but in that nape of the neck.
I've never been to Hanover Park.
You never been to Hanover Park or Nashville?
Yeah.
Man,
I've been through Nashville, but
Hangover Park, we call it.
yeah, Hangover Park. That's it.
because of Stay Out West.
Only because of that, yes.
Yeah. To this day, I can't drink a caramel apple shot ever again. And I mean, it was amazing. It was actually New Year's Eve, 1999. I mean,
remember it.
Oh man!
well, yeah, because 1999.
Yeah, party like it.
Everywhere you go,
The world was going to come tumbling down at midnight.
Around 3:00 in the morning, we were all way too drunk. I mean, we should have stopped drinking hours ago. Then all of a sudden, I believe he was the owner of Stay Out West. He was friends with the guy that lived across the street from me, and he shows up with a crate of booze from the bar.
Oh man!
And it was caramel. It was caramel like schnapps. And sour apple. And we thought it was a good idea to just start shaking up chilled caramel apple shots after we were all completely drunk. And
everything they couldn't sell to everybody else.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So so January 1st and 2nd of the year 2000 don't exist on my calendar.
or in your memory. I still have some generators left over. If anybody is looking for a Y2K generator, I'm your man. So.
And if the date on your computer hasn't flipped over yet.
Yeah. Yes. Stuck in 1999.
Well, I got to go out, before we sign off, I feel one of us should yell, hey kid, get off my lawn.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
No,
exactly.
Because of the
cranky old man.
Yeah. Get off my lawn.
That's right. Well, I retired 6 years ago. People say, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to get up early and chase kids off my lawn. What the hell?
Amen.
That's the only exercise that you get sometimes.
That's right.
Chasing kids off your lawn.
Plenty.
That's right.
Somebody's got to do it.
So,
all righty, guys.
I'm going to go out and see these guys for sure.
Definitely.
I have a feeling this is a fun show.
You will have a great time. I guarantee it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thanks for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having us. Thanks for the invite.
See you this summer.
It's been great.
Hope so too.
Can't wait to come back and see this when you have it put together. It's everybody. It's awesome.
Yeah, we want to play in the basement too.
Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah. We can make that happen.
Let's do that.
For sure.
Just a jam session.
Take care now.
All right.
See you guys.
See you.
I don't care what they say. It's that show, Three's Company, rocked.
Yeah. And they said that it wasn't because of the name of the character, but come on.
No, really. Come on. Yeah. Where do you come up with JakTripper?
JakTripper.
Unless they played with some guy back in the 70s and the guy was always tripping and his name was Jack. And they said, hey, let's name it after him. Remember that bass player we had, JakTripper? Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, but I don't think that's it.
No, it's probably not. They said what it was. They just picked that out of the air. Just happened to come out that way. But kind of brought me back to the olden days.
I know. I am very interested in going out to see what are these B-sides. What are these songs that you don't hear a cover band play?
Yeah.
That sounds real interesting. I think I want to see that. And just from listening to them talk, I didn't hear them play a thing, but I have a pretty good feeling these guys are some good musicians.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are. And I mean that AOR time, where you sat there and bought that album, you put it on the turntable, you listen to both sides, you listen everything, and you listen to it over. And there was that one, maybe two songs that made it to the radio, but there was a ton of other great stuff.
That's right. It was fantastic. I enjoyed them very much. And again, go out and see those guys. I think you're really going to like them.
Well, for sure, especially people our age.
Right.
I'm sure they'll like that, too. I think they're walker accessible. So that's a bit. You want to start? Let's put a new band together. Let's call it Walker Accessible. That'd be awesome.
Accessible. Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Okay, now I'm getting I must be getting tired because I'm getting kind of going off on a tangent. So as usual, thank you for listening to the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. And
come and knock on our door.
See you next week.
We'll be waiting for you.
Actually, we're going to go to the Regal Beagle now for a couple of drinks.
Where the kisses are hers and his. Three's Company too.
The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast is edited by Paul Martin. Theme song courtesy of M&R Rush. The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast does not own the rights to any of the music heard on the show. The music is used to promote the guests that are featured.